professional help.
As Cardinals owner Michael Bidwill changed his stance on the future of head coach Jonathan Gannon, the latest from a top NFL insider, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, Max Melton, is he benched? Is he hurt? He strikes back on Twitter. Is this a player that JG has lost? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Studio Day. Little Baby Live. Presented by our friends at Circle K. Yes, I'm doing the opener. It's PHNX Cardinals, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Kindly like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. That's Bo Brack. Noah Man behind the mic. And we are on Tuesday, December 16th. Gannon watch, Bo.
Gannon watch. Not exactly a Michael Jordan flu game performance from my co-host, but look.
No one wants to hear me scream right now.
No. Well, I offered. I guess I know how you feel about yesterday. You didn't like my live, and you just said, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Same week.
You said, I'll do it. I'll half-ass it. But you guys in the chat, you're not. Full-assing it in the chat, actually. Thanks to our supporters out there. What's going on? Austin, I see you. How about just throw them up there, Noah? Yeah, how about our guy, Ray Fram? Love that. We've got our friends in the chat as well. Just throw them up there, Noah, so I can't read them. The Jacob's here as well. We've got Brian P. Yeah, the chat is so small and it's so far away that I have to have my guy Noah throw them up. But look, it's great to see everybody here. Of course, this episode of PHNX Cardinals brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the promo code PHNX365. Deposit 10, bet 5, get $150 and bonus bets, win or lose.
Hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Yesterday, highly emotional show after the ass kicking that the Cardinals got, especially defensively against Houston. And I think really every day moving forward on this show, we are going to do our best to deliver the very latest as it relates to who's staying, who's going. And very poetic, Bo, we are not going to show clips from the Nick Rollis, Drew Petzing pressers today because in all actuality, big picture-wise, I don't know what it's going to do for folks. And frankly, when we show those, people get upset. And rightfully so. Cardinals have one of the worst defenses in the NFL currently, and their offense has been not good for the majority of this year. So with all due respect to Drew and Nick, there's only so much you can get out of this because right now, fair or not, Bo, the target has gone from the coordinators to the head coach for many in this fan base.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be, at least after the writing was on the wall, that this season was going to be in a nosedive or was not going to result in a playoff appearance, and they weren't going to tap into expectations that at the very least, Ken, after experiencing a dip, according to Gannon, that there was going to be change because after 3 seasons and kind of making it through that amount of time and then not producing the results that you would expect, that change was going to be inevitable. But we weren't expecting them to bottom out. We weren't expecting them to free fall, to crash, and burn like they have, and then just be in complete chaos like they've been. So now, like, as they've lost, 10 of 11 right now, 11 of 12, and the scores become even more lopsided, the case to return the entire staff or any of the staff it's getting smaller and smaller. If not, at a minuscule microscopic level that you have to put under, a microscope and kind of really examine to find any reasons to bring anybody back.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Jeremy Fowler report last week where, like, they think Jonathan Gannon's safe, but these games can't continue. And then they continued. And then, Bo, you posted something on your Twitter earlier today, a Tom Pelissero bite, who is usually very positive. And it echoes, again, the fact that Michael Bidwill, after the San Francisco game at home, non-competitive game after non-competitive divisional game, took Jonathan Gannon aside and said, hey, it's just not our year. We're going to try to rally, basically no harm, no foul. We get it. Injuries, the Kyler Murray situation. It's okay. Let's finish the season as strong as possible, right? And that has not happened. And so now, as we've dissected for the better part of the last 6 weeks, what happens now, Bo, after a slew of not only losses, non-competitive games mixed in?
Yeah. And this is the latest. As Tom Pelissero joined the Rich Eisen show and kind of went through a couple coaches on the hot seat, including Jonathan Gannon.
And there's other places like Arizona. They've got young coaches. My understanding is Michael Bidwill has been really supportive of those guys to this point, but you lose, I think it's now 9 of 10 or 10 out of 11 games. There's certainly going to be an examination of what's gone wrong.
It marries common sense with what this show has been reporting.
Right.
I think it's very real. And Michael Bidwill wants to keep Jonathan Gannon.
100%.
He wants to keep him. But at some point, wanting stability, it kind of just runs straight into the wall after blowout losses. Like, that wall is closing in every week in and week out. It just gets closer and closer, and the need for stability becomes outweighed by, have we regressed? Can we move forward? Is there a path here? And I think, Pelissero dropping that important kind of context there that, he's been very supportive. It's a young staff. There's patience here. But when you lose this many games in a row and they've stacked up and piled up like they have, you have to examine it. You owe that to the fan base. You owe that to the players in that locker room. You owe it to the staff itself to examine what the hell went wrong. How did this go so sideways?
Well, it speaks to like the forcing of a hand, where we've used this example before. You could be a beloved employee, have an incident, your leadership comes in and says, hey, I love your production, or I love you as a person. You do great things for the office. You effed up. Here's HR. That's it. My hands are tied. And I'm not saying that that's happened to Jonathan Gannon in the sense of like HR, but just from a semblance of, you've lost too many games. You guys are non-competitive. We're blown out every week. My hands are tied. I think the fans would balk at this, but Michael Bidwill indirectly responds and, owes it to the fans to put the most competitive product on the field. How on earth can you sit there in January if they close this out? And I don't know how many losses it would have, 13 to 14, 14 to 15. I've lost count at this point. 13 to 14 if they lose.
14 to 15. He would be 1-14 down the stretch. Yep.
And sit there in front of the masses and look in your fan base and tell them, guys, this is correctable. I'm sorry. You're one, you can say that. You're one, Jonathan Gannon with Monty can come in and say, nutrition program stinks. Quit making players pay for food. We don't like this. We don't like scouts. Get them out of here. We're going to revamp everything. And Michael Bidwill listened, and they have the cachet to do that. Mm-hmm. The longer you're in a place and the longer you don't produce subsequently, the less cachet you have, the less ground you have to stand on. If Bo and I did this show every day, and toot our own horn here, and our numbers when we started were worse now, 3 years later, guess what? At the end of the day, we can point our finger at 10 other instances. It's on Bo and I, right?
Right.
Jonathan Gannon has a worse record and worse product in year 3 than he did in year 1 with an expansion level roster that he inherited. I don't. That's indefensible given the talent on this team.
Right. No, and it's like it's all said and done. Kyler Murray will have played less games than he did in 23
For sure.
for the team after he missed 10 games because of the rehab for the ACL tear.
Yeah,
and he's still, even with the improved roster, utilizing the cap space and all this draft capital, that there hasn't been the development that would prove that you can win more games without Kyler Murray, or even with him in the lineup, that would show, hey, progress, development. And like with Bidwill not eager to hit reset and trying to avoid it, but the losses that keep stacking up.
Yeah.
The key there is, like from Pelissero, is that he's trying to be supportive. And I think that matters, Johnny.
Yeah.
Because it's an owner that's not itching to just fire people, right? And I'm not
respect that.
here to, I'm not trying to jump into the corner of Bidwill here, even though people are going to start, come out and yell like you're carrying water for him. Like, not carrying water for anybody here. Like there's not going to be they're trying to avoid panic mode moves and shooting from the hip type moves, which used to be an issue with this organization, and trying to avoid that. And organizations around the league that get a bad rap for that.
Yeah.
For not sticking with coaches long enough. But when it comes down to the Cardinals dropping, as it stands right now, 11 of 12, it's also not just the losses, it's what's coming with the losses. They're getting worse, they're getting more lopsided, and they're getting less competitive. And it's in every phase. And it's like, at the beginning, it was the offense. We said this yesterday. The offense, they started this, and the defense, unfortunately, is finishing this, as far as kind of putting this Cardinals coaching staff in their grave. It really is. And when you have that type of support for a coaching staff, then you're going to become more under fire. You're going to be more and more scrutinized, and it's going to be tougher and tougher to make the case for your organization to be embraced by this fan base.
I think the biggest factor and the biggest optics that are impossible to ignore is the non-competitive nature in which the Cardinals play the rest of their division. And there's an understanding that you draft and develop to win games, but you draft and develop to combat what's succeeding in your own division. And they have universally failed at that. I mean, they've won 3 divisional games in 3 seasons. I mean, it's a big reason why Matt Eberflus was fired, because he couldn't win games in the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Kyler Murray plays and maybe you've got James Conner, do you beat Tennessee? Do you beat Jacksonville? Do you win a couple of these other games? Maybe. Mm-hmm. If Clayton Adams is here, probably. Why can't you win in the NFC West? If that would be my question if I'm Michael Bidwill to this staff, and Monty Ossenford, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
What has gone so terribly wrong? And I think internally, they would never say this publicly. Everybody underestimated what was likely a fluke season for the division last year. And this franchise preached patience and continuity, and the NFC West that we saw last year, that was a wounded animal, got stronger in the offseason. 10-win Seattle said not good enough. LA Rams said not good enough. One and done exit in the playoffs. Let's get Devontae Adams. San Francisco got the best defensive mind maybe in the NFL. Got Mac Jones and said, we're done effing around. We're going to win 12 games this year with half our roster.
Yeah.
The Cardinals miscalculated their chances in the NFC West so terribly magnificent that it very likely is going to be the root cause of this, because that's where the blowouts are coming from. Yeah, I know they played Houston over the weekend, but Houston's a top 10 team. You are non-competitive against teams that you are guaranteed to play 6 times next year.
Right.
That is, you're not. It's not like you're playing Mahomes every 3 years. You are going to face McVay and Mike McDonald, and of course Kyle Shanahan every year after year, and they are just pounding you into oblivion. That to me is, if I'm Michael Bidwill, that you have to look yourself in the mirror and just say, like, what do I have to do to close the gap on these guys? And is my coaching staff good enough to do that?
Yeah. No, it's a great point. Over 300 people have joined us here earlier here on PHNX Cardinals. Like and subscribe. It's a big problem when you're young and you're injured and the talent is depleted on this roster. You still have to show fight. Haven't seen it. Haven't seen growth. And we've lost our direction here. Like those things are so paramount as far as trying to survive these types of seasons. Like those are getting harder and harder to find. You have to squint. And like you can look and you can see Trey McBride and you can see, Calais Campbell going out there. But those guys are established veterans. Like, where's the development? Like, if this season was happening and it kept on going and I could just hang my hat on, like, well, look at Darius Robinson. He's proven he's a first-round pick. Or Max Melton. Or I like what I've seen from B.J. Ojulari and his return from, the major knee injury that he had. Isaiah Adams, man, he really popped in his second year. You can't find those like individual success stories throughout this. All you've seen is guys kind of their development stunt and the regression of guys that you invested in last year that, most NFL teams probably would have said, hey, these positions, they regress at this certain age. It's probably to move off sooner rather than later, and it has bitten them in the backside.
Yeah, I mean, 2023, we had Michael Wilson, you had Paris, you had Garrett Williams, you had ascending players. They found Yelda Froholt. Last year, they had their ups and downs with Marv, but that was a win. Max Melton, a player we're going to talk about around the corner, that was a win. You had things to lean on.
Yeah.
Now, are you feuding with players? Do you have coaches after yesterday jumping ship? We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to tie this into what's happening with Max Melton. And is there a mass exodus about to happen, not only with the coaching staff, but some recent high draft picks? That's coming up.
All right, quick shout out to our friends over at Rally House, because if you're an Arizona sports fan, this place, it's basically a candy store. You're just running down the aisles, picking off things off the shelves one by one. Rally House is the go-to spot for your local team gear. I'm not kidding. When I say they've got everything, they've got everything that you can find in the team shops, online, about your favorite team. How about hats, jerseys, drinkware, signs, for the house, coolers, socks. They've even got sunscreen in there. It is game day related. They probably have it, and it's about 10 different styles. They've got all you want. Best part, they carry only Arizona teams, so you're not digging through Dodgers gear. You're not going through random stuff that you don't care about. Every time I walk in, I find something new, and somehow I didn't even know that I needed. You can check them out. Tempe, Mesa, Glendale. Shop from the couch. Head to rallyhouse.com and get your game day setup handled with our friends over at Rally House. Reminder, you got to be 21 years or older to play the Arizona Lottery. 'Tis the season. I'm not just talking about lights and leftovers, even though those are nice. We're talking about $80 million in prizes with holiday scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. If you're looking to add a little extra excitement this time of year, and who isn't, holiday tickets are a fun way to do it. There are 6 festive scratchers to choose from. Talking about Cash Countdown with prizes up to $250,000 in candy cane cash, which actually smells like peppermint. Very festive. Yes, you can really smell it. And you can dash to instant prizes like holiday fast play tickets. And honestly, when it comes to gifting, these are perfect. White elephant exchanges, stocking stuffers, or just because. It's a small gift with a chance for a very big one. Check it out. Love the play. Spread the holiday cheer with holiday scratchers from our friends at the Arizona Lottery.
Well, Max Melton, who, let's do some history, was a second-round draft pick after the Cardinals traded down in a cornerback-rich second round. Max Melton, I have this pretty well sourced, was a favorite of Jonathan Gannon's in terms of how he played and how he would fit in their defense coming out of Rutgers. And I thought he showed a lot of promise in his rookie season. And then this year was playing relatively well. The defense was humming along. Something has happened, though, over the last, 6 to 8 weeks where he's been on the injury report, but we're not sure if he's injured. That's a common theme to this season. and he has been inactive and or benched at times this year. And so, Bo, with that being said, Kyle Odegaard, friend of the show, was kind of throwing some shade as it relates indirectly to Max Melton. Let's take a look at the tweet. And basically said, oh, they've missed out on Kamari Lassiter, good player that we saw over the weekend for Houston, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and then, of course, Cooper DeJean, who does play slot corner. The Cardinals have Garrett Williams. Kyle Odegaard saying this trade down by Monty couldn't have turned out much worse. Max Melton sees that, right? And he says, good morning. I haven't let up a single career TD, just about 1,000 snaps. Please don't let this current situation fool you.
Love the good morning, by the way.
He's a positive guy.
Max Melton, well-spoken guy. Love him anytime he's got a microphone in front of him. He's holding court with the media. He had time today. He's had time, right? Dealing with the heel. I think he's fallen out of favor, unfortunately, as a second-round pick with some other cornerbacks in this room. And I think that it's important to understand he struggled this season. Is he a bust? I'm not prepared to call him a bust in his second season. I think that he's found, ways to be productive on this team, but at the same time needs to find his way back to where he's going to get consistent playing time once he figure out what's going on with his heel. He returned for a second. He returned a week ago yesterday and then went right back to being a DMP in practice. So him responding with that, I like that. I like that he stood up for himself.
Yeah, I do.
That's
too.
fine. You look at that and the optics on it right now, it's not in favor of the Cardinals. Cooper DeJean, I mean, you're not going to, I don't know if you ever overcome that, like the Cooper DeJean thing. I mean, the fact is Garrett Williams played slot corner and they felt like, well, teams are going to want Cooper DeJean because he profiles more as a slot. So let's maybe trade down out of that and teams can fight for him. And we've got our guys scouted like they like Max, and I'm sure they liked a couple other corners that they were comfortable taking. And then there's that run, and it's Cooper, it's McKinstry, and then it's Kwame Lassiter, who wasn't the most athletic. He didn't test well. He was just a productive player at Georgia that people were kind of curious how he was going to translate. And Max was just kind of this hand-picked player that, as you mentioned, Gannon liked, Monty liked him. And it's just been a little bit slower transition to him. So counting him out already is wrong. Calling that a trade down, completely sideways, I disagree with that, because it's not just Max Melton in the equation. You were trying to also appease your offensive play caller and give him what he wanted to, and that turned into Tip Ryman. And I know him breaking his leg didn't help this conversation, but to just trying to cherry pick and call these out just because everything is bad and everything sucks in Cardinals land right now. I think it's a bit unfair.
Yeah. And I've seen Max Melton. I know he can play. I think some of these guys, we're not sure if they can play or not.
Right.
And we talked to Jonathan Gannon in August, and the biggest question mark with Will Johnson was, and he told us I don't know how fast Will is because he was hurt in the offseason. And he hasn't really had a chance to air it out, but he said something to the extent, I'm paraphrasing, but we've got Max for that. We can put Max on a guy who's 4'3", and they had a ton of confidence going into this year with him. So I look at Keitrell Clark and I look at Denzel Burke, and I think classic overachiever. They don't have the height, weight, physical traits, speed as a Max Melton. But I'm sure they're an extension of the coaching staff. They played a lot of football at the collegiate level. And that's all well and good. And I think Denzel Burke and Keitrell Clark are fantastic complementary corners. You took Max Melton to be an alpha on the outside. The trio that is going to give you the most in return, in my opinion, is going to be Will Johnson, Max Melton, and Garrett Williams. You need to lean on that. I think it's just way too early. Maybe something happened. I was texting somebody off air today, and it just feels like so many of these players, and this is a bad sign for the defensive staff, need a change, not of scenery, but of messaging. Like
Right.
Darius Robinson needs a change of messaging. He just lost his defensive line coach. He's had 2 in 2 years. So next year, regardless, he's going to have a third. Max Melton falling out of favor. I mean, those are guys you took last year. That 2024 draft class was supposed to carry you. So for me, it's like, the easiest thing to do, and we talked about this the entire year with Drew, you're going to give up on Marv, the 4th overall pick. You're going to give up on the play caller. That's, no disrespect, a dime a dozen in the NFL. And I think you look at the defensive side right now, it's like Darius Robinson was a great player collegiately. Suddenly he can't play. Max Melton had good tape last year. Suddenly he's a special teamer. They've gone down a rabbit hole here. And if I'm Monty Ossenford, it's like we talked about yesterday, Bo. It's like, these are your babies. These are the players. You sold your soul. You traded down in 2023. I'm looking at Michael Bidwill if I'm Monty Ossenford and saying, like, we got to get somebody that can correct this.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing with Max Melton. Max versus those other guys. Context really matters here.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean, if he's in this defense, if he's tasked with playing the same position of Max Melton with this defensive front the last 2 years, isn't the Cooper DeJean that we know today.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean, talk about the best situation he could, be drafted into last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, and that defensive front 7 that included Josh Sweat, that had all those big hog mollies up front that were Jalen Carter and crew that were wreaking all that havoc. Right. And then also Lassiter, who had a great game on Sunday. What's he the beneficiary from? A great defensive front 7 that just hasn't really existed, whether they've invested in it or they haven't. And like to just say, well, Max Melton sucks because I haven't seen these big plays that I've seen with Lassiter and Cooper DeJean, and that's a disaster pick. I don't think that that's a fair evaluation of Max Melton. And it's got to be probably outside of quarterback. Cornerback is probably the toughest position to acclimate from the college level.
Also, like Cooper DeJean plays in the NFC East. It's been relatively average this year. Last year, a little bit better. AFC South last year.
Josh Sweat edible arrangement every year for putting his name on the map. Right. For that, what he did to create that pick 6 in the Super Bowl. He picked off Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I mean, the guy's not going to have to buy a drink in Philadelphia the rest of his career. And it was made possible by defensive front pressure.
We were live on air that entire day 2 of the draft. We were banging the drum for Cooper DeJean. We wanted that pick. Max Melton was probably a fringe 2nd round, 3rd rounder. And I think the hope was, Bo, that, hey, Jonathan Gannon's a DB savant. This will work out. It's not a good look regardless, though. Like this, we talk about like the easy box for you to check. Why I'm like such a big Robert Saleh guy. Because I would know what I'm getting, right? I do feel like we've been sold maybe a false bill of goods. We're like leaving Cliff and migrating with Jonathan Gannon. It's like, okay, I don't know if he can get the offense right, but at the very least, it's going to be a great defense. They're going to be well coached. Look, they had barely any penalties the first 2 years. They've gotten so far away of what we initially were sold, and it's cliche because people say it now, like, we're going to effing gut these guys, and that mantra. It's like, no, you're getting gutted every weekend. Your defensive backs are out of position. Will Johnson looks like he's aloof now. All the things that it's kind of like Cliff toward the end. Offense couldn't produce. All the things that you had your namesake on kind of fabricated now. And what's left? Well, what's left is a team, Bo, that we've talked about that doesn't do anything well. And that to me, if I'm Michael Bidwill, it's like, okay, we're non-competitive. We're losing in the division. And now suddenly the defense is an embarrassment with all these draft picks, with most everybody healthy. I'm sorry. I like Mack Wilson Sr. I've seen a lot of people here locally make Mack Wilson Sr. out to be Fred Warner. Let's take a break right here. Right. Mack Wilson Sr. is a nice player. Right. Mack Wilson Sr. is not playing defensive line. He's not playing cornerback. I come on now. They're not well coached defensively this year. The players aren't responding.
Let's get back to that conversation a little bit. Pelissero's comments saying that amidst all this losing, Bidwill is going to have an examination of what's gone wrong and what that could mean. for the future of Gannon and this coaching staff and this organization. Plus, which Cardinals are trending up and which Cardinals are trending down. It's all coming up. PHNX Cardinals. All right, quick Circle K shout out because I was there recently. How about this morning? And then once again this afternoon, doing a classic just need some gas, stop, just need some coffee, just need a Polar Pop, and walked in with more than just those snacks and zero regrets because I'm a member of the Inner Circle. It's a free rewards program that if you aren't a member of it, what are you doing? Circle K is America's thirst shop for a reason. My go-tos, those Polar Pops, the coffee in the morning, and of course, if I'm feeling dangerous, I'm grabbing snacks, drinks in one stop and not actually ending with just those. I'm coming out of there with my hands full. Inner Circle members right now get 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, and save 30 cents per gallon in some situations. Check it out right now. If you sign up for the free Inner Circle app membership program right now, you save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then you save on every fill-up afterwards, 3 cents, 5 cents. And as we said, we got the fuel days, 30, 40 cents off. It's beautiful. Do yourself a favor. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. Participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for all of the details. If you've been in an accident or suffered serious injury, you got to do your research. It's so important to do so because the lawyer you hire, it really does matter. Mark and Alexis Breyer, the husband and wife law team, Phoenix is home for them. It's where they raise their 8 kids. It's where they focus has always been. And the client results, giving back to the community. It's all what they're about. And let's be real. After a serious injury, you want the attorney who's focused on your best outcome, not just how much money the firm is going to make. Their team brings hundreds of years of combined trial experience, multiple attorneys who are certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death, a distinction held by less than 1% of Arizona lawyers. They are specialized. They actually go to trial, and when it calls for it, and when they're all ready to fight in front of a jury, if that's needed for your case. They're also built differently. They get real access to your attorney, no phone tag, and no practice that's going to be like giving you the runaround. They're not going to do that. 100% dedicated to injury and wrongful death. If you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first, 602-783-8841, or visit the link in the show notes. Tell them PHNX sent you, and also check out their socials as well. Hilarious follow, adding some levity to sometimes some serious situations for yourself.
Great stuff from our sponsors here as we continue on. Hit that like button goal, of course, every day. 500 likes as we welcome almost 400 people live right now. Bo, you teased it. Jonathan Gannon. I put this in my Twitter post before the show, and a lot of people kind of scoffed at it, rightfully so. Is there anything that can be corrected over these last 3 games? Because I did think going into last weekend, we talked about it. What if they lose 20-17? What if they're ultra competitive? What if it comes down to a last-second field goal? Does that carry over into these 3 games for you, or is this beyond saving?
No, I think the point earlier that Bidwill is looking for any reason. Present him with any reason that he can hold on to, at the very least, his head coach.
Yeah.
That has made a big impression on him, clearly. I mean, we've heard that. I think you can just tell he really likes JG, and he wanted to find a way to move forward with Gannon and more competitive performances. The final 3 games, like that's a start. I think you need to see performances from players that we've been kind of talking about throughout this show. The Darius Robinsons of the world, Walter Nolan staying healthy on the field and making an impact. Marv potentially returning to the lineup and picking up where he left off before, suffering the heel injury, having personal performances outside of Jacoby Brissett, throwing the ball an endless amount of times to Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. We know that works. That's a good 3-headed connection. That's great in garbage time. They're, vintage. They're basically like Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, and Scottie Pippen of the Bulls of the 90s. Yeah. Like that's what they are. But for just kind of trying to take away from the 15-second bite from Tom Pelissero, like examination of what's going wrong is not a firing. Like that's still, to me, I don't think it's a period, end of conversation. Cardinals are going to move on from Gannon, but the warning light continues to be on here. And there has to be some sort of answer to that.
Nothing suggests that they're going to turn it around. And that's the state that you and I have been operating out of. It's like, hey, every week it gets worse. Hey, every week this is a horror show. Every game we turn on, every game we're in attendance for, like the football follies that take place on kickoff returns. Like every week it's seemingly worse than the week prior. But we preview these games and we break this down every week. Like, but if they have a second life, if they have a come to football Jesus moment and they say, enough's enough, we're going to rally around our head coach. It's like, okay, let's see that. Let's see you put together a winning effort this weekend. I know, a lot of us are aiming for that top draft pick, but for Jonathan Gannon, I'm speaking from Jonathan Gannon's perspective. If they beat the Atlanta Falcons, if they beat the Cincinnati Bengals, if they beat the LA Rams, albeit their backups, unequivocally, I think he's safe.
Mm.
But what recent performance suggests that is going to happen? Zero. This league is so predicated on two things, quarterback and coach. Right now, unequivocally, in all of these losses, for the most part, the Cardinals have been outcoached. It's an unfair fight every week. Now, that could change. I don't love the coaching staffs for the next 2 weeks. And then number two is special quarterback play, for which they do not have currently. Jacoby Brissett solid. He's not Joe Burrow-esque that can carry Zach Taylor, right? We've seen that before. What's I think happening with Buffalo and Sean McDermott. Like guys can be out coached their side of the ball. It doesn't matter. They got a special player on that side. So for Jonathan Gannon, it's like, okay, well then you better fix the former. Can they out coach Raheem Morris this week? Can he out coach Zach Taylor on his field in potentially single digit temperature? There is nothing in recent history to suggest that that's going to happen. And that's why we're having these conversations. We expect this to continue. I'll be the first person, if they win this weekend and the players respond and suddenly Will Johnson is checked back in and the offensive line looks good and they can run the ball for the first time in 2 months, we'll get on the postgame show and I'll applaud the effort.
Yeah.
But the effort has not been there for most of this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, and due to that would cause us to be bummed out that they crushed their draft pick.
Waited so long.
Right? That they've suddenly become bad at being bad, and what people covet now the most after enduring all this crap.
Right.
The potential of being within, striking distance of a top quarterback prospect, it really goes on life support. Might be dead. Just how little is in this draft class. So
right, and I'm just looking at this from
I understand, and that I think that's just an area that's real. Like the Falcons have been a bad team. I know their most recent performance, they showed fight, but they're going on the road. They're traveling across the country. Like, how much is that fight going to continue on? Like, if they get down early to the Cardinals, are they going to want to like scratch and claw back? Or are they that motivated? Look, the losses keep coming this way, though. Like the want for stability and that perception around the league or within this fan base, like it's not going to be enough anymore. And that's the biggest key here is like the want for stability and continuity. Like that's all well and good, but it's outweighed by the performances this season and not really being able to show a path forward that looks successful to this fan base that's going to really kind of inspire hope.
To me, this is Jonathan Gannon's last stand for a couple different reasons. You're playing at home. I don't expect a robust amount of Falcon fans there. I know people who are going to the game. It's like, okay, we have been abysmal at home this season. Can I fix that for one Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, this isn't me rooting for anything to happen other than, hey, Michael Bidwill's in attendance. We're going to be able to put on a show, and I'm going to show them what we can potentially provide in 2026.
Right.
You can take your young talent, as you outlined, showcase them. hey, these guys are, coming around. Walter Nolan's got a sack maybe in 2 consecutive games, and Mike and Marv and Trey put it all together for an afternoon. Like, for a day, you can sell that. But if you lose, and I watch Owen Papo and Akeem Davis-Gaither and Budda Baker whiff on Bijan Robinson, and they put the Cardinals in the dirt for their home season with 1 win, it's over. Like, I feel very strongly of that. If the optics this weekend mirror the optics that we've seen over the past 2 months, I don't need to see Cincinnati. And I sure as hell don't need to see a finale against backups with the LA Rams. You should be able to, Jacoby Brissett or not, you should be able to win this game. It's a winnable game. If you lose, and if you lose badly, we will come on that post-game show, and subsequently for 2 weeks, I can't defend anything. Because I'm still sitting here every show. People are crushing us for it. I think Jonathan Gannon is a good coach. Mm-hmm. But I think this season has gone so poorly, it's indefensible. Sunday is it for him, in my opinion.
JV, you're the owner now? Well.
I'm the owner of a raspy voice with some hot takes today, but
right.
I mean, how do you look at Sunday's matchup? It's a winnable game still. It's a 2-point spread.
It is. Yeah.
Very winnable game.
You're at home.
Right.
2 teams eliminated from postseason. All they're playing for is pride. Like, who can pick themselves up the most? Who can get up the most for this game? Who can limit the mistakes? Still 2 very flawed football teams. Like, if you have money on the Falcons, I think at no point, even though they're playing the Cardinals, do you feel confident just based on how their season has gone.
I mean, they lost to the Jets. They've lost to the Jets this year.
Yeah. And you get a hit on Kirk Cousins, who knows? And who's even their backup?
I think it's Easton Stick.
Oh, wow.
5th rounder. North Dakota State.
Wow.
But I'm gonna read you some names here for Atlanta. This is a real team. Drake London's supposed to play. Kyle Pitts had the game of his life. Bijan's the best running back in the NFL. They still got Jake Matthews. Their offensive line's not terrible. And then defensively, Leonard Floyd, both those pass rushers they took last year.
No, don't tell me I'm Leonard Floyd in 2025. I mean, he's not good.
Well, all right. A.J. Terrell, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., who was a stud last week. Mm-hmm. Jesse Bates, A.J. Terrell, they have real players. They're very comparable, honestly, to Arizona. They're a team that should be much better considering their talent. And they were picked to win the South this year. They were the betting favorite to win the NFC South.
I just don't know how I feel about the idea of them winning football games now, with what seems to be more at stake. With looking at how
I don't expect it either.
Yeah, the quarterback market, how it's just getting thinner and thinner by the day. I think I realized with all this losing, the toughest job the Cardinals organization, plus who's trending up and who's trending down, it's on the other side. PHNX Cardinals. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365. 'Tis the season to bet big with Bet365 or little, whatever you want to do. There's a reason why Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, live streams over 780,000 events every year. This app was pioneered for live in-game betting, and today they offer a widest range of live markets across 78 different sports. If you like betting with the game in front of you, this is the spot. It doesn't get any better than that. I've been loving the early payouts. College football season, I really cashed in when the team I bet on got out to a 17-point lead. I got paid instantly. You could also get it in the NBA and NHL. College football, though, money lines. You get paid out 4 times, even when the final result could be flipped. MLB fans, that's one's huge. You got the early payout as well if the team goes up 5 runs. Can't wait for baseball season. And right now, breaking news from Bet365, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, just deposit $10. Sign up, use the code PHNX365, and you're getting $150 in bonus bets. Download the app. Use the code PHNX365. Must be 21 years or older. Physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. All right, quick shout out and holiday check. This time of year, it's all about getting together with friends, watching games, and maybe trying a new drink that somehow sticks around way longer than planned. That's right, which brings me to a new one I've been messing around with lately. I love it. It's Smirnoff's Spicy Tamarind. And check out what's going on at State Farm Stadium December 21st. You're going to want to keep an eye out. Smirnoff is giving fans a chance to try their signature serves featuring spicy tamarind, including a collab with Squirt, kind of an underrated, underappreciated soft drink Squirt is, and then you mix it with the elite spicy tamarind from Smirnoff. You're going to love it. It's game day specific opponent themed drink just for the matchup between the Cardinals and the Falcons, a game that we thought was going to be a big time game as far as playoff implications. Now it's got NFL draft implications. Why not back that with this special serve from Smirnoff? They're not just pouring drinks either. They're going to be set up with their custom Smirnoff Spicy Tamarind truck, which you don't want to miss. Bright, colorful, and very on brand for the holidays. So if you're cheering for the Cardinals in person against the Falcons this weekend, December 21st, make sure you stop by, see our friends over at the Smirnoff truck, and try one of those signature serves. Cheers to that. Talk about Gannon and his job security. And lots of figures within this organization and what their future is going to be. I agree, Jacob. It's good. But I think the toughest job in this organization is Twitter admin. By far.
I was going to say social media person.
So, yeah, social media content creator for the Arizona Cardinals during this game where you can't be negative and you've got, certain initiatives and things that you have to, get out there. Like today, they tweeted out like defensive stand of the game. Following a performance of the Cardinals, they didn't force a punt until 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They highlighted a sack from Walter Nolan, and of course, it was ratioed into oblivion. It was unbelievable, and sure, I take a little that's entertaining to me, but I also feel for admin, for the social media team over there for the Cardinals who are fighting for their lives week in, week out.
They got good people over there. Listen, we're in the content business as well, but we're allowed by our phenomenal employer to shoot it straight.
Right. I
could not do this if that was not the case. Not with this franchise.
Right.
There are franchises, Green Bay Packers, good every year. Like you can be in a space and preach hope and patience and vibes. The Cardinals have 11 playoff appearances in 100 years. I mean, this environment does not, breathe anything other than you got to be cutthroat as it relates to this content game. And so I'm sympathetic to what they're having to try to pull together these last 3 weeks. But here's what I will say. The Cardinals, long-term, you're going to potentially have a new head coach, certainly a new quarterback this offseason. This franchise is going to look dramatically different regardless in 2026. And I thought, for a franchise that was preaching continuity, Gannon, Monty, Kyler, the brain trust, let's carry that over, homegrown. There's going to be a massive exodus this offseason, coaches and players. There's going to be enough content for the social media peeps to spin this offseason. So
you think the offseason, they're going to have a big offseason.
They are.
They're going to rebound. They're going to get their groove back. They're going to probably smile again. They're going to get out from under this dark cloud that is the 25 season.
It's a horror show of a season. I'll fight anybody who suggests other seasons. This is the worst season of Arizona Cardinal football in terms of what it was building toward and then what inevitably you got. There have been worse teams. That's not what I'm saying, but just the product of a season, this is the worst season.
Yeah.
When have they been projected to win 8.5 games and they've literally the whole thing's come undone?
I mean, 2016 was one of those years where they had high expectations. You had a lot of national pundits having them as the NFC representative in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
and they fell short, and there was injuries and
David Johnson though had a phenomenal
Then they go
season.
They go 7-8 that season, and they go
7-8-1, yeah.
7-7-1.
Yeah.
7-8-1. Yeah, but that they didn't completely whiff on that. Like they're gonna.
They were competitive. They were, Drew Stanton, Carson Palmer. Carson had a big game in Seattle toward the. I mean, there were things to cheer for. This season, they finally said we're going to do it the right way. We're going to build internally through the draft. No more cutting corners. I think this is the worst because of what was said the prior 2 years. Like Wilkes' year was a nothing burger. That was the first year.
Right.
I know people like coming at me on Twitter.
Sniffed that out. They realized that roster was bad. They didn't have the quarterback situation.
Sam Bradford in the off. Everybody knew they were done.
Right.
First year without Arians. What'd you expect? This was supposed to be, all right, it's our window is opening, and it's done with these people.
The crescendo to the rebuild, being on the precipice of something big, something that this organization hadn't had, and that's consistency, sustainability year in and year out. Just knowing like
all of their grown-ups, right?
Yeah, right. And now it's shaken, I think, the fan base to its core, because a lot of what they thought to be true, they don't believe any longer. Like trust has been legitimately shaken by how things have played out this season.
And it should.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to give up 40 points in 6 weeks 4 times and be like, we're good.
Yeah.
No team is allowed to operate that way. You brought up a great point yesterday. The Jets, after trading away their 2 best defensive players at the deadline with a defensive head coach, had a non-competitive defensive game, and we're like, Steve Wilkes, get the hell out of here. You're fired.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals on both sides of the ball have endured much worse over this season and have doubled and tripled down on their people.
Yeah.
And their fans are just like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's not getting better, guys. Stop telling me it's getting better.
Right. Yeah. Prodigy putting it well. Feeling like you got scammed. You got
Ponzi scheme.
Some snake oil, right? That's how they feel about the head coach. That guilty. I hook, line, and sinker. I still think, given the right circumstances, he can be a good coach, but had his own mistakes along the way, right? And we keep saying that, and people don't like hearing it, so we'll just shut up. Look, what's trending well for the Arizona Cardinals? What's actually a positive for the Redbirds? And then what are some negatives? We got a lot of those. What's trending up? What's trending down? We'll get to that next. PHNX Cardinals. Quick heads up for our Arizona folks. If you've tried Pure Edibles, you already know this isn't your typical gummy brand. They're next level. I'll say this up front. I got to know Ryan a little bit on our trip to New Orleans earlier this year, the owner of Pure Edibles. And since, he's been letting it known that he's a Cardinals fan, I understand his struggle a little bit more, but I also know what he's all about as far as his brand, Pure Edibles. And, man, they are blowing up statewide. They continue to do so. Pure found it right here in Arizona in Flagstaff up at Noble Herb, and now are made in Phoenix, the big leagues. They've grown their brand. You can find them in over 130 dispensaries across the state. They've always just stood out to me. They've stood out to our friends here at PHNX. They're not just an edible company. They are a full-fledged candy company. Gummies, kicks, chews, hard candies, and none of them heavy sugar coating like you get from everyone else. They also made it super clear what you're getting, the effects listed on every 10. They are, offering options for sleep support, something more as far as uplifting, CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana derived from THC. And right now, their big headline, Pure Edibles, Mother Road collab. Noble Road just dropped their Tower Station IPA all-in-one, capturing that crisp, citrus, piney hop flavor of Arizona's favorite IPA, and they're making it with a smooth THC twist. No pouring, no waiting, just hoppy hour. That's right, hoppy hour, not happy hour, whenever you want. If you're in Arizona, swing by select local dispensaries and grab that Tower Station AIO from Noble Road and go find Pure Edibles at one of the 130 plus dispensaries statewide. Also, How about everyone needs a checking account? Look no further than Mountain America Credit Union. But look, get one that actually gives back. And that's Mountain America Credit Union, MACU. Mountain America Credit Union's My Style checking account is such a great option. It comes in with built-in real-life deals, perks like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, and plus offers on travel and events. It's not just checking account. It's benefits that you can actually use, will actually use. If you're a Suns fan, life gets better with Mountain America. It's exclusive home of the Suns card, available for both debit and credit card. Pair the Suns debit card with the My Style checking account, unlock those benefits, and check out their no annual fee credit cards. So many options there with Mountain America Credit Union, deeply connected to the community, proud to sponsor Arizona State University, supporting student athletes. Mountain America Credit Union has been around since the 1930s, just entrenched in the Valley with 1.2 million members and 100 plus branches across the West. Visit macu.com/mystyle right now to take advantage of My Style and make it your lifestyle /Suns/ASU. Learn more, apply at any Arizona branch, insured by the NCUA, membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit.
We do it every week at this time, trending up, trending down. Big thanks to our providing sponsor on Trending Up, Trending Down, and big thanks to our guy Noah, man, crushing it on the graphics. Hit that like button, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. And again, it's been some difficult things to find trending up, but of course, with our friends at Upside, you can always get that cash back when you need it. Let's trend up. I'll go first here. PHNX Cardinals guard play. Hey, John Gaines, couple good games in a row. Isaiah Adams was okay, gave up that one sack, but I thought the offensive line as a whole performed well against Houston. And I think the guards, once they've gotten younger and more athletic, with all due respect to Will Hernandez and, of course, Evan Brown, play the young guys. You know, John Gaines has been in the system for 3 years. He should know the offense. And Isaiah Adams needs to be a starter moving forward. Michael Carter ran about as hard as you can expect, and he's going to have to do it again this weekend. Bam Knight's been placed on injured reserve, so it'll be, I would imagine, Michael Carter with some Amari DiMercato. But again, I thought he was really effective. He ran hard, and I think he'll have some opportunities this weekend against Atlanta. And then always trending up, our friends at Garbage Time, brought to you by the Cardinals. Big statistics in the fourth quarter. Garbage Time, with all due respect to Jacoby Brissett, is where this team thrives, Bo.
Yeah, elite garbage time play from this offense, creating moments that the social media team over there can grasp on and try to spin, but still feel for them. Thanks to our friends at Upside. Let's take a look at my trending up. I'm going to stick with you. The young offensive lineman, as you mentioned, not a bad performance against Houston, one of the top defenses in the league. I'll add on to John Gaines having a second solid performance, and Isaiah Adams continuing to bounce back from his benching earlier this year. Sure, he gave up the sack, but he stayed disciplined. Not a whole lot of flags from Adams. Actually hasn't been flagged after being the top flagged offensive lineman for the Cards when he was asked to exit the lineup. But also Josh Fryer, undrafted rookie free agent. He didn't allow any pressures, any sacks against that Texans defense. The only guy that really had a rough day was Grandpa Kelvin Beachum on Sunday. So young offensive lineman. Also, the coach is leaving. Coach Debo, it was reported yesterday he's leaving for Michigan State. And now there's reports out of Oxford that Ole Miss is targeting Cardinals safety coach Patrick Toney. So could have another defensive coach exit the organization here pretty soon, with the coaching carousel hot and heavy at the college ranks, and then trending up is tanking. Tanking has never been so hot right now in the desert. The Cardinals, with key players out nearly in every position, they are in line to continue to improve that draft pick, barring them becoming bad at being bad, but tanking right now in full force.
I like it. I love all of it, even if I don't love it. But let's trend down this week. And again, these are easy, much easier than what's actually going down with the Arizona Cardinals. Let's take a look. Trending down for your boy wins. I don't think they're going to win another game this year. I just talked to you about how I think Sunday's a winnable game against Atlanta. Not for this team. Not when you're giving up 100 yards on the ground against Bo and I can't even tell you who did that against Houston. Houston loses their top back. This practice squad, street free agent, comes and makes the Cardinals look terrible with their run defense that, by the way, has been awful this year. They're in the bottom third in the NFL. Job security also trending down. It trends down with every loss, every non-competitive outing, as it should. No, I mean, we should not have to stomach 20-point losses consistently and be told everything's fine, everyone's coming back. No, it's like you don't produce, you don't keep your job. That's the case in most industries, especially the NFL. There's only 32 of these gigs. And then 2026 QB options. We're going to save this conversation for maybe tomorrow, but Jacoby Brissett's going to end the season with on paper respectable numbers. Something tells me the Cardinals are going to be all in on Jacoby Brissett in 2026, in large part because right now this draft class, Bo, has about 2, maybe 3 guys, and then a whole hell of a lot of questions. And don't even get me started on the free agent market at quarterback.
I don't like that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's way worse than your trending up options, but it is trending down, and we're going to continue to rage bait here with my trending down. Defensive stops. Not finding them, especially in the first half of the last 3 games. They got a couple punts from the Bucs to start 3 games ago, and then they stopped doing that. They gave up 2 consecutive scoring drives, and then were put in a position 5, then 10 consecutive drives that the defense wasn't able to force either a turnover or a punt, and the opposing offense was in a position to get points. So defensive stops not there for the defensive-minded Arizona Cardinals that spent over $100 million in 6 of 7 draft picks on that side of the football. Staying with the defense not being good. The linebacker play has been very bad, and this is going to be, I think, an emphasis that they have to have this offseason in upgrading the linebacker play. Maybe Mac Wilson and somebody else, but I don't think you can move forward with the 3 guys that we've seen. Cody Simon is going to have to show massive development, but I don't think by any means should you be giving him the keys to a starting position or significant playing time until he proves himself worthy of that. And then last competitive performances, last one we saw was against the Bucs, and that was even frustrating, but it's been sandwiched in between just non-competitive performance after non-competitive performances. And are we going to get to see any before the final whistle blows on the 2025 season in the next 3 games?
Gonna have to add a linebacker, if not multiple, this offseason. It's been rough. That position has been maybe the biggest liability on the team this year, which is crazy. I was so high on Cody Simon, and it just hasn't transpired into any kind of production. So I like your list. It's more reasonable than mine. We have 20.
You really think, to get back to yours, you really think that they'd be naive enough to move forward with Brissett as QB1?
He's going to finish with 3,500 yards in right around 12 starts. And he's going to finish with, I'm saying conservatively, he finishes with 24 touchdowns. That's at his current pace of 2 per game.
Yeah.
Falcons defense is not great. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals defense, we'll see what shows up. And then he could be playing against backups in week 18. They're going to say, numbers are numbers. 24 touchdowns, 3,500 yards, starting 3/4 of the season. Let's give them a run game. Let's fix the defense. Look at the options that Miami's talking about cutting Tua this morning.
Yeah.
The Cardinals they're going to say like, well, listen, we got Jacoby Brissett for a song. We'll draft a developmental guy, and Jacoby's going to be our starter. I think that's very realistic.
If there is a developmental guy, I'll think about it again. But
well,
if
it has to be. They have to.
It would have, because if it's just you brought in another backup, and it's just like you got your 1A and your 1B, and they're actually both 2s. That's a tough look. And I think even the most casual of fans will understand like the numbers. Like nobody's going to go look at the stat sheet and go, wow, Jacoby Brissett, huh?
The Cardinals understand the situation they're in. I also think if you have a new offensive coordinator and Gannon's gone, there's no guarantee that I think Jacoby does pretty well in this passing game. Can he pick who's you texted me this? Does the new regime, if there is one, prefer somebody else? That's a possibility too. But I
somebody else's version of Jacoby Brissett.
Right, yeah.
No, I think that's incredibly possible. If there's going to be opportunities this offseason, there's always opportunities, right? I mean, it's not going to be devoid of opportunities to get a quarterback. When they present themselves, Cardinals have to be the most aggressive in the league. It's dire that they do that because we know what they are when they don't have a starting caliber quarterback in the lineup. And I think what these numbers tell you, they are very empty calories, and that he's an elite backup, but he's not a starter. Because when you look at all these stats, the one that matters is one win.
Yeah, somebody texted me today. I'm trying to find the text message. I think it was Jess Root texted me this. He's 0-5 on critical drives to win the game. And two of those instances happen against Jacksonville. The Cardinals would probably say, well, they don't have an offensive line and they doesn't have a run game. That you can polish this up. I'm just saying it's not what I would do. I'm just saying you
can't polish anything up. You got to approach it. You have to understand it, that it can't be the path unless there is a developmental and it's like he's the bridge and this guy's not going to be ready.
It's got to be a first-round quarterback. Yes, first-round quarterback, either in the top 10 or trade back in Jackson Dart style, and then you have Jacoby Brissett as a bridge, an open competition, 100%. But you can't take a Jalen Milroe in the third round with Jacoby Brissett and be like, we're good.
Right.
That would be a disaster. I agree with you. I'm not saying this is not my plan, by the way. I would trade up, try to get Mendoza.
I just don't hope they're not that naive. I really, I mean, they watch the games just like we do.
Bo, this season has showed us that
yeah, but there has to be some sort of learning and development from this season as well. Hey, we made that mistake. And it's bit us in the backside. It's time to we have to understand that this can't be our option.
Okay, everybody, clip this show. I'm not saying I want to believe you.
Yeah,
their self-awareness right now to me is non-existent.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I get that, but maybe I'm just.
They're going to trade or cut Kyler Murray in March.
Yeah, I understand that.
And so then they're going to say, well, what do we do now? Well, we got a guy who just threw 24 touchdowns. That's not nothing. That's what they'll say. Hey, look at this. Remember this play? Don't look at the score. Look at this. Isn't this great?
Yeah. It's just like my wife asked me if I mowed the lawn. And I'm like, well, I took the trash out. I did this. Yeah. Just deflecting.
It to me, it depends on who's the head coach, who's the GM, what happens with Kyler. What do you get for Kyler? Blunder's saying trading up would be ignorant, Johnny. Okay, then let's just do nothing then. Let's status
Why
quo.
would it be ignorant to trade up?
If you love one of those top two quarterbacks and you're like, I want to go and get the next quarterback for the next 10 years.
If it's your only option to upgrade at the quarterback position in this offseason, that's your only way. And I actually joined Clancy today on Locked On Cardinals.
Rude.
I think it comes out tomorrow. It's one of the more enjoyable experiences I've had talking about this team in the last couple of days.
I won't watch it.
But this is not a roster that's devoid of talent. Cover's not empty. Especially if there's a new coaching staff, there's talented players that can have their potential tapped into. And I know right now is in the moment where everything sucks and everything's bad and it's all doom and gloom. There's talent on this roster that if it's harnessed correctly, they could rebound quickly. But it's so imperative that they get the head coaching spot and the quarterback right, because without that, they don't have a shot in this league. So why would you say it's ignorant? I don't know why it would be ignorant to just say, well, if you can get Mendoza or more, and that's your best option to find future at the position, I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
I mean, I would argue like CJ Stroud as a rookie took a team to the divisional round. Jaden Daniels took a team to the NFC Championship game as a rookie. Second year, Drake May and Caleb Williams are on fire. They're going to go Bo Nix deep into the playoffs. Yeah. Like there's a precedent to be set where you get a rookie, and if your roster, Monty Ossenford is going to spin this if he's the GM. We're a quarterback away with this roster. We have the pieces, and that you couldn't say that in 2023 or 2024. Like Monty Ossenford is going to have 4 off seasons of resources invested in this team with little turnover. Nobody's leaving. Jalen Thompson's going to go get another deal somewhere else. Everybody else is going to be in a position to stay and develop. Let's jump into these super chats. Bo, you want to get us started?
Yeah, you guys crushed it today, by the way. Thank you for all your super chats. Thank you for everybody's involvement in the chat. It's been on fire today. Desert Vulture, friend of the show, this season is baffling. Michael Bidwill just adds more gas to the fire.
I think I respect not firing coaches in season. I don't think it serves this franchise well, and the optics I think would be bad trying to recruit. Like if you're going to move off of Jonathan Gannon and you want to go get a Todd Bowles or a Robert Saleh, be buttoned up. Don't look like an embarrassing franchise. No. Give your coach every opportunity to succeed, because Robert Saleh could say that could be me in 3 years. And so I actually think that they're handling this well, and I like the messaging that's out there, because you could say something privately, but publicly you got to keep your house in order.
Oh yeah. And it's going to be so important that if you do pivot, you are buttoned up and you have a plan that you can tell a potential head coach.
Right.
And if it's just Jacoby Brissett and then hopefully we draft a guy, it's not going to get a lot of serious head coaches in the door.
Yep.
But thank you, Desert Vulture. Keeping it going here with the super chats. How about Calvin Montgomery? I was asked if I was going to renew my season tickets. I laughed at the email and said only if they fire Gannon.
It's letting your voice be heard. I mean, I don't know if this happens every year, because the Cardinals very rarely make the playoffs, but it does feel like a lot of people are choosing not to renew as it stands right now. So maybe they'll hear you.
Yeah. Second hardest job in that organization, selling season tickets, it seems like. Thank you, Calvin. How about our guy, Shane? Since Dallas, the offense averages 12 points a game before the start of the fourth quarter. Garbage time. Sorry, Brissett truthers. The offense and defense both suck. Fire them all.
They don't do anything well. Shane Lamb, you're 100% right. No redeeming qualities as a unit. They have players that are having nice seasons, but not as units.
Desert Vulture's back. It's obvious Bidwill unprepared for this decision to move on from JG, but it's still not an acceptable excuse to fans, even players who may walk.
I mean, like, you can be unprepared in November and get prepared pretty quickly. I mean, I remember when he fired Steve, they had to fire Steve Wilkes, and they outdid the Jets for Cliff Kingsbury. I'm sure he didn't expect to be hiring a new coach that offseason. Ossenford.
Oh, even with Kingsbury, he signed him an extension the February of the year. He fired him. I mean, you're not going to be. I don't think anybody's prepared for seasons like this. Like you get mostly blindsided, especially with where they were trending before the year. I mean, I don't blame somebody for being ill prepared for this, but when you are tasked with this, you do have to find your way out of it. You have to find what's going to be best for the organization.
I agree. And I don't think the Cardinals are going to just suddenly be behind the 8 ball if they have to interview coaches. I think they'll be all right.
But they're going to be behind it for quarterback. They're going to be looking at garbage time stats and saying, this will do.
Yep.
B.A. Brian, he's been a member for a month. He's saying, I think we need to calm down, except JG and Monty are back. Hope the lightning off season and draft, it takes one good move for snowball W's.
How about the positivity from Brian? I appreciate that, Brian. I would love assurance that if Gannon came back, that they would win. That is going to be you talk about pray for the social media team. If they lose out and they run it back completely, you might as well shut it down. Shut that account down until August, September, when training camp comes around. People are not going to be happy, and it's going to become toxic and bleed into the offseason. But I'm pro Jonathan Gannon, the person. I gotta be quarterback to pro Jonathan Gannon being the head coach of this team.
What else we got here? We have Shane. MHJ, 5 games with Brissett, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. MHJ, 5 games with Murray, 306, 2 TDs. No difference. 85 and Wilson thriving in garbage time stats. Can I just throw one little, this might come off as an excuse for Brissett, but MHJ was knocked out of most of the Colts game.
Yeah, and then he missed a fourth quarter 2 weeks ago. So Trey McBride's been more effective with Brissett. That can't be disputed. But Kyler, to me, it's a moot point because of the fact that Drew has a very specific offense and he ran it, and he wants a player like Jacoby to run it for him. They want a prototype that looks like Jacoby Brissett, not Kyler Murray. So, pointing fingers instead of the OC tailoring it for the quarterback, they just basically tried to fit Kyler Murray into a specific scheme, and it didn't work out, and then they pivoted.
Yeah, not great. $9.99, our guy Johnny. Bidwill's presser after firing Cliff and Keim, he said his goal was to have the team that would win the West. 3 years later, we aren't close. The staff, it won't accomplish his goal.
Yeah, the most damning point on top of coaching and player regressions is NFC West non-competitive.
Yeah.
That's the only, you're not
They're
close.
further away.
You're not close.
Further away. Yeah.
That's the most fireable offense to me.
Big Red 6, good game, Bo. It was a pretty epic comeback last night. Big Red, I was wondering if you were to come into the comments today, licking your wounds. He said, I can't believe Waller gave you 2 TDs in the fourth quarter of Monday Night Football to beat me in fantasy. You better win the whole thing. Well, thank you for supporting me as I make my march towards winning the first annual PHNX Cardinals listener viewer fantasy league. It would be great for me to win and Johnny to finish dead last like he did. But it was exhilarating. Really felt the thrill of victory. Looking at my phone, I saw Darren Waller score the first tutty, and I thought I was drawn dead at that point and said it was nice. I made it close. And then the second one, that just had to been like
okay, I've heard enough. Let's keep going here with these super chats. No more breaking down fantasy football on this podcast, sir.
Do we have any fantasy football to break down anyway? Like, you don't have any horses in the race.
I'm in the semifinals, smartass, of PHNX Sports, the real league. The pros league.
Oh, the listeners, the viewers aren't the real league?
No.
It's you and Noah and your Donald Duck league that nobody cares about?
The nose picker league. Myself, Jane, Totri, and Noah in the final 4. Noah, am I going to see you in the championship, my guy?
Yeah, I just put up the most fantasy points ever, I think, this week. So
Noah eclipsed like 220 this week in
230.
PPR.
Some respect on his name, would you? And Brian P. Enough about our fantasy teams. I'm sorry. If we fire all coordinators, what established OC, DC special teams is going to want the job where the head coach is on the hot seat? The time to pivot was last offseason.
Correct. He missed his window. Should have fired Drew, brought in an established OC, kept Clayton Adams, promoted him, given him a pay raise, maybe brought in some defensive help for Rallis, misevaluated his staff. And now it's going to be very difficult if he's retained to be able to put together a staff. We know that some of the offensive guys he likes, but he's got to get him to commit if he's back. We'll see if that happens.
Desert Vulture's back, all caps for those audio listeners. Here's a good one. Zach Allen, Byron Murphy Jr., both have Pro Bowl level careers. Monty, explain why.
They didn't want to sign here. And Monty was tearing this down. It's an intersection. But here's why I'll defend you, Desert Vulture. They tore it down for what? To be bad again 2 years later? I think rebuilds are overrated in the sense of, like, this is going to take 3 years. look at the Patriots. They did it in 18 months. And Monty Ossenford, I know you play in the NFC West, but Monty Ossenford, they slow played this thing too much. And you and I were here doing the show every day, 365 days a year for 3 years. You got nothing to show for it. That's why people don't give a rat's ass if you're back or not. Like people have been fed hopium for 3 years, and now they see these. The Broncos immediately were good with Sean Payton. They had like a bad month and immediately became relevant.
Right. Schaff is back. What's going on, Schaff? Let's see it. On another note, the Die Hard Fantasy Football League is down to 4 teams playing in the semis this weekend, and Brian versus Bo and Jason versus Schaff. Schaff, congrats for punching your ticket, my man. Thank you for bringing it back up. My unbelievable win that people are going to be talking about for years after this league. It was special. It meant a lot to me. It means a lot to the entire show. And
Desert Vulture, next super chat here, 2 months. I enjoy my membership. Appreciate all of the PHNX staff. Now that's something worth reading. You guys can text each other, message each other, smooch each other off air about fantasy football. We're here.
I appreciate Desert Vulture, and I appreciate some of the PHNS staff. Some of them,
not everybody.
What about me?
You're out there doing renegade pods with Clancy. I see where you're leading to.
Renegade.
Hey, Johnny lost his voice for 2 days. Clancy, can I come talk?
Charity work. It's great this time of season to link up with my guy Clancy. How about our guy Brandon?
Yeah,
Brandon Hunter. You want to read it, Johnny?
No.
Okay, major indictment on this regime not trading Kyler last offseason. They clearly knew he wasn't long-term plan if they shifted off of him only 5 games into the season. Thoughts?
Well, it's almost like they couldn't make a decision one way or the other, just like Gannon couldn't make a decision with his staff. And so they have been the franchise that have been afraid to take big swings, been afraid to take the next level. And they said, well, we're just going to run it back. And because of continuity with the roster and the staff, we won 4 games, then we're going to win 8 games, then we're going to win 11 or 12 games. And that's not how the NFL works. It's very difficult to go above average. And in certain cases, you can regress like the Cardinals have. I agree with you, Brandon. If you felt like Kyler was maxed out in your system, first of all, have some awareness, self-scout. You could have traded him. His value would have been probably higher last offseason. Maybe you could have traded up for Jackson Dart, expedited your rookie quarterback, but you didn't do that. So they've misplayed so many things. I agree with you, Brandon. I wouldn't trade Murray, but
I don't agree with it. I don't think they were that wishy-washy on Kyler this offseason. I mean, Jonathan Gannon had an immense amount of conviction in Kyler Murray, even though maybe the offensive scheme was misguided. It was wrong. It wasn't a good fit for Kyler Murray. You have to also think about the downfall of the offensive line, the run game. That was all supposed to be there for Kyler Murray. Once that fell apart, their scheme that did work around Kyler, it didn't exactly elevate him. That was what they envisioned, how they envisioned winning football games. So I don't think they were kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out with Kyler. And then also there's a lot more going on behind the scenes as far as they didn't just like sit him down once his foot hurt.
Charles, a very generous $20, Bo. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Charles.
JG misjudged the Kyler situation. Kyler wasn't playing great, but JG assumed scapegoating Kyler would automatically buy him another year. Never considered that if his side of the ball imploded, his job would also be in jeopardy.
I mean, like, how many more points are they scoring if Kyler Murray plays? I don't know if they're scoring many more. I think maybe you're extending drives because of Kyler's ability to run the football. I think the latter part of that is correct, Charles. The defensive implosion is the biggest culprit right now. Of like you could have said a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we're going to get the offense fixed this offseason. The defense is good. Now the defense is an embarrassment.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why we didn't see Kyler Murray again. Is like, what was he returning to? There was still no run game. The offensive line was still playing poorly. It was not a good. And then the play caller remained in place. Yeah. So like none of that was going to be conducive to him suddenly finding it and finding success. I think that they could have maybe held off and not dug themselves into such a tremendous ditch or hole in a lot of these games. think Kyler could have managed the offense a lot better to put them in a better spot. But I don't know if it translates to a lot more wins. But it is, I'm sure, once they're kind of navigating that earlier this season, they did not envision it snowballing into this. I think you're right there for sure. Keeping it going. How about our guy F. Simple? The problem with firing a head coach to solve a problem creates another problem. Who are you going to replace him with? Do top shelf head coaches grow on trees?
I don't love F. Simple. I agree that I don't love the candidates this year. There's only a couple guys that I really think would be a great hire is Robert Saleh, Todd Bowles, because I've seen Todd Bowles win if he gets fired. And Robert Saleh, I thought, showed enough promise with the Jets to warrant another opportunity. And of course, he's the defensive coach. He's the assistant coach of the year. So those would be the two immediately to jump out. I think to Bo's point, I think McCarthy might have been kind of setting himself up to jump back in this offseason. I don't know if Mike McCarthy can hang in this division. I don't know if time has passed him by. And then people are throwing the Rams QB coach, OC, or any of these young hotshot. You just don't know with those guys.
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak, like, have they ever been a head coach before? To me, that's got to be a big box you have to have checked. Have you led a program before at the collegiate or professional level?
Well, I mean, at least there's with Kubiak, he's been around the league his entire damn life. He's got connections.
Sure, and his dad was with Aces. Yeah.
That's probably the only first-year guy you could sell me on. But everybody else, yeah, I mean, to F. Simple's point, you got to find somebody that's one, established, and then two, willing to come to the Cardinals.
Gannon's staff was so inexperienced, and now in hindsight, it's possibly going to be his undoing is really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough needle to thread. Keeping it going, you guys crushing it, Shane. No doubt we have terrible coordinators, but is it possible maybe these guys are just not what we think they are? Monty has a lot of questionable picks.
I agree with that. I think Monty Ossenford should not be a stain from criticism. And again, it's the optics are bad right now. The 2024 draft class, you're just getting nothing from it.
Mm-hmm.
They put all their eggs into that basket. But if you're Monty, you're going to say, look, these guys were well thought of. We got to get another regime in here to coach them up. So some players are like coaching bust proof. Like they can come in and be elite regardless of who's their coach. But a lot of guys, like Marvin Harrison Jr., I believe can play. But I believe he desperately needs a new offensive mind to work with every day.
Yeah. Shane's back. The decline of everything began in the second half of 24.
100%. And they looked at it like an anomaly instead of the prop. They didn't do anything to address it.
One more from Shane. Unreal how low the bar has gotten for JG. Insanity.
Yep. This is a guy I thought that could go toe-to-toe with McVay and Shanahan after last year and only need a boost offensively to go toe-to-toe with McDonald. Now he's being blown out every week. It's truly unthinkable, Shane. Truly unthinkable.
He says Iron Maiden, D&D. Is that right? Yeah. Did you guys see Carson Palmer led his high school team to the state finals as a head coach? Maybe he needs an NFL promotion.
Can you play quarterback next year, Phillip Rivers style? How old's Carson Palmer?
I bet they're about the same age.
45.
He came in the league after, right?
Yeah. No, before. But
Rivers 45. Was 04. He was in the Eli draft, and then you said Carson
2003.
03.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But he was younger when he came out. Rivers was older. So they're about the same age.
Yeah, Milwaukee Braves, 1999. Thank you, Milwaukee Braves, friend of the show. He's a solid defensive coordinator, not a good head coach. I get he's been nice to the program. That's great. I'm sure Cliff was nice to not head coach worthy. We need change. This franchise is a joke year after year. It's demoralizing.
Hard to argue. He's a great person, and I think he's a great leader off the field. They're just not responding to him right now. I'm not there every day. We're not in the locker. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but the fall from grace has been unlike anything I've ever seen covering this team. It's really disappointing.
How about our guy, Adrian? What's our cap money for next year?
Well,
a
a lot of it's predicated on Kyler and what they're able to absorb and not. Their cap space right now is, a very respectable, like $32 million before some guys are cut. Before I would anticipate, Adrian, they're going to have right around $50 million in cap space this offseason.
How about our guy, Steven Jackson? How feasible is the trade up if the Raiders pick number 1? I mean, you'd have to trade up probably to 2. Raiders aren't trading out.
0. You need Tennessee or the Giants to have one of the first 2 picks.
Brian P., I non-renewed my tickets too. Was asked it really about wins and losses. That's our culture. Darian Mensah of Duke, our developmental QB in round 1. I like that.
It sounds like he might declare. He's having a really nice year for Duke. He's had a lot of starts. He's only 20 years old. But he's a true guy where he will not be ready to play in September. But we need somebody to emerge as QB3. So if the Cardinals are truly stuck at pick 5 or 6 and they can't get up there and they just have to sit and pick, and there's a guy that's worth a top 10 to 15 pick, then you can take him like a Bo Nix, like a JJ McCarthy was. I know that hasn't worked out. They need a third option. Like, we should all be rooting for Ty Simpson to play well and declare. So there are just more options.
Right.
The worst thing in the world is there's 2 guys, you can't get up there, and then it's just day 3 guys from then on out. Then we're really screwed.
Right. The college football ranks transfer portal quarterbacks are more alluring than the pro ranks right now.
So it's hurt the Cardinals, this NIL situation where, I mean, Sam Levitt, if he doesn't get hurt, does he declare? But they need a Jackson Dart to emerge. They need a Bo Nix to emerge.
Somebody always does. Like, Senior Bowl will be one of those moments where it's like, oh, this, like Tyler Shuck last year.
Yeah.
Dart was also involved in that. Back-to-back super chats from our guy, Charlie Sinclair. Just don't think JG can be trusted with a young quarterback and hiring a new offensive staff. And then $20. The Chargers were the Cardinals 2 years ago. We had our own JG, Brandon Staley, fired him into the sun after similar debacles. And like Johnny says, found someone who led a program and completely changed the franchise. Go find your Jim.
I got 2 things to add to that. There's no Justin Herbert here, unfortunately, Charles.
Yeah.
Number 2, and Bo and I know this and we talk about it often. When Jim Harbaugh was available, when they hired Jonathan Gannon, a prominent local outlet mocked the idea of the Cardinals pursuing Jim Harbaugh. And I think everybody knows what outlet that is. So, we weren't established then, but Jim Harbaugh was easily the best hire, would have been the best hire for anybody. Anybody with a brain could have seen that. So, that I'm glad it's worked out for the Chargers. It's nice to see them have success, and Jim's an A+ coach. But the Cardinals need to get the head coach right first and roll the dice on a quarterback in the draft. But there's no Jim Harbaugh or Ben Johnson available, at least right now, this offseason.
Well, it wasn't even mocked like he wouldn't pick up the phone. They were against Jim Harbaugh, the head coach, which is completely absurd given his track record.
And then the company clipped it as a short, put it on social media. I just couldn't believe.
It
was like the Cardinals were above getting Jim Harbaugh because he had some sanctions at Michigan and that he wouldn't try. It's the dumbest. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen put to media content in this market, and that's saying something. It was unbelievable.
What's been unbelievable is everybody's super chats today, everybody interacting in the chat. It's been a great show. It's been another banner show. We got big day tomorrow. What's going to be the status of Marvin Harrison Jr. and some of the ailing Cardinals, or does the tank stay in full effect for this upcoming week against the Falcons? I'll be out at the practice facility. Latest from JG and some key Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett speaks tomorrow. Can have all that. Plus more, whatever is going to hit the, of course, the news cycle for the NFL in regards to the Cardinals and what the future could be of this organization. Going to wrap it up for our guy Noah and Johnny. I'm Bo. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here, PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.